Ruscin and Zach on the radio, on the all the smart speakers, wherever you're listening. We greatly appreciate it. Nikki Chavanelle is our guest now from Rivals and HawgBeat.com, HAWG, HawgBeat.com. As training camp continues, they're on the field right now, right, Nikki?
I think so. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I think they are, and then they have a scrimmage on Friday, which we won't be able to see either, but then we'll get Coach Pittman and a couple players after that at like 7 o'clock on Friday. All
right. So the obvious first question is, with someone observing training camp closer than Zach and I are, and probably most people, what are your takeaways so far through the first handful of workouts that we've either seen or read or heard about?
Well, like you guys, I am not out at practice. Hutch goes out there for us, but I've obviously been tuned into all the interviews and stuff, and it sounds like things are going really smoothly with the offensive install. Felipe Franks has the confidence of his teammates early and the coaches, which is obviously different from last season. They've already essentially named him the starter. They haven't put anyone else with the ones, so he has that locked up. The offense looks really well established already, except for a few spots on the offensive line. So that is another advantage that they didn't have last year. I think they were still figuring things out for quite a while last year. And they have like the actual depth at offensive line where they can, really work on finding the 5 best and then, the next 5 as well. So like what we're hearing from the offense, we don't get to see a lot of execution, but some of the guys like Mike Woods have been posting videos that look good, so that's good. But then, we obviously also hear stuff from guys like Jerry Jacobs, the corner from Arkansas State, who says, he's been having great weeks. He's gotten a few picks. Joe Foucher's gotten a few. So we don't exactly know what those situations are where they get picked, who they're picking off and stuff like that. So maybe it's hard to tell just like how good the team is, obviously. So, but the defensive line is coming together as well. It sounds like they know who their front 4 are going to be, with Jonathan Marshall, Xavier Kelly, Dorian Gerald, and Julius Coates. It's really exciting. It's a much more experienced line than, especially on the ends, than last year. So, the linebacker position still worries me, but it sounds like through 5 practices that they're looking good.
Outside of Bumper Pool at linebacker, who's going to line up next to him?
Yeah, well, Grant Morgan is still filling that spot. A lot of people hope that Levi Draper, the Oklahoma transfer, will eventually beat him out because Grant didn't start last year, obviously. So. You want to kind of elevate that position, and it's going to be really important. You only have 2 linebackers on the field for the most part in Barry Odom's scheme, so those 2 need to be really solid. But, yeah, it sounds like Greg Brooks is coming along at nickel and has a real hunger about him, which is good because he struggled last year.
Where's the pass rush coming from? I mean, I think it's assumed that these defensive ends, Coates and Gerald, are just going to simply be able to push, and Kelly and Marshall will be able to push the pocket back, and you'll be able to get edge rushers. But again, none of these guys have done this before. Where is the pass rush coming from?
Yeah, it sounds like Dorian Gerald and Julius Coates have been getting after the offensive line a lot.
That's not a good sign.
I'm a little worried. Apparently, right tackle is getting beat up, and that's one of the spots on the field where they're not totally sure right now who is going to be the starter. So that's kind of expected. That seems like it's going to be a weak spot. I think Dalton Wagner, who started at right tackle last year, along with Colton Jackson, those 2 guys had the most sacks allowed on the team. So they need to figure that out. And then Ricky Stromberg and Ty Cleary are still battling it out at center, but it sounds like Stromberg is solidifying his position more and more.
We're talking with Nikki Chavanelle from HawgBeat here on Ruscin and Zach. One of the things we've been kicking around here the last couple of days, Nikki, is more, it's not as much talent, it's philosophical. Well, I guess it is kind of talent, but it's philosophical. If the offense scores or has fast drives that don't take a lot of time off the clock, that's going to expose the defense more because they're going to be on the field longer. So how are they going to strike this balance of tempo, but also trying to play a little clock control so you don't have a defense that's on the field for 85 plays a game?
Well, I think the defense is already kind of used to that. I mean, it was up-tempo. It was supposed to be up-tempo last year. I think the difference is being up-tempo but actually getting in the end zone. Like with Morris, it was fast, but then, you have to punt it. So the defense was just back on the field with no points to show for it. So I think that's going to be the difference. It's a lot easier when you're not, constantly playing from behind.
I'm banging the drum. I mean, the offense is going to have to play ball control there. I mean, it's not Navy-style ball control where you're doing 11-minute drives just to shorten the game, but I think that's part of the game plan is you can't leave that defense out there 70. Derek, what'd you say?
Last year they averaged 70 plays a game.
It's too many. They're not deep enough to stand. I mean, you're not deep enough to withstand 10 SEC games with your defense out there 70 to 80 plays.
Yeah, with Rakeem Boyd and Traylon Smith hopefully being what a lot of people talk about, I think they'll be able to stay on the field a little bit longer and extend drives by running the ball a bit more than maybe Kendall Browse usually does. It's a pretty even split already, but increasing your run game can keep them on the field a little bit more.
It's going to be fun to see how they kind of strike that balance of the two things there that they're trying to do. And you've got a piece on HawgBeat today about something that's been a common thing around this program the last few years: young players getting a chance to play in big spots right away.
Yeah, Sam Pittman. I mean, a lot of people, when the NCAA said, we're going to extend a year of eligibility for everyone, including seniors, so they can stay another year, a lot of people are like, well, what about all these freshmen? You're going to have all these freshmen wanting to play. They're going to get upset if they're not seeing the field. Well, Sam Pittman came out yesterday and said pretty unequivocally that it doesn't matter if you're young. If I feel like you have the potential to be better, I'm going to play you. And even if you're not yet better, if I think that getting you on the field is going to develop you faster, I'm going to do it because your ceiling is higher, and I want you to get you to where you're going to be. And that's kind of too bad for the older guys, but they've had their shot. So it's good to hear.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and you may not know the answer to this, but special teams have been, to be kind, a disaster the last couple of years. I mean, North Texas, Auburn, I mean, it runs like a Sports Center highlight. I mean, what are they, now that you've got a special teams coordinator, so I think just by osmosis you're better, but where is this, who's returning kicks? I saw, Traylon Burks is learning how to catch punts properly. How about just catch the damn ball? That's fine. I don't care if it's right or wrong. Catch the damn ball.
Well, yeah, you have Traylon Burks, and he's expected to do both, punt return and kick return, along with Devion Warren, who was pretty good last year.
He's out of Highland, right? He's out of Highland. Devion Warren?
Devion Warren? I couldn't tell you. He was before my time covering recruiting, so I don't know all the older guys and where they're from as well.
Continue. Sorry, that's just my ADD kicking in.
Before Devion got hurt last season, he was doing really well. It's just you have to find a balance between playing, your best defensive players on special teams, and you want to play guys that don't play on defense as much on special teams to give them a role, to give them something to do, but you can't sacrifice, good tackling and speed and stuff. So I'm sure Scott Fountain, he has a plethora of experience. He'll figure out the right balance to strike. But with Traylon Burks, the only thing you have to worry about is potentially getting injured. We know that he can be pretty explosive with the ball, and he's not easy to take down either.
Devion Warren is a senior from Monroe, Louisiana.
Not close.
Not Highland, Arkansas.
Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Deion Stewart. Never mind. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay.
He gone.
Thanks.
We're talking with Nikki Chavanelle from HawgBeat. There is a lot of attention being put on, there's a lot of stuff being written about Traylon Burks the last few days. I'm just wondering how he's handling that kind of scrutiny and attention,
He's such a laid-back guy. He's such a quiet, internal person. I don't think that even if we asked him, he would, really express much worry about it. I think he's looking forward to it. He's had high expectations on him since he was in high school. So even coming from Warren, Arkansas, everyone knew his name. He was an early top 250 player, so everyone was paying attention to how he was doing. I know that he wants to get on the scoreboard for sure. That was a huge letdown last season for him to not even make it in the end zone, except for one play I think that was called back because of a penalty. So, but he's just like such a quiet, like internal guy. I don't think we'll ever see him being like shook.
Are they going to go running back by committee? I mean, they're deep enough to do it, I think. I know Rakeem Boyd will get the primary workload, but I mean, if you're going to try and control the football, I mean, you've got to do this with multiple running backs. You can't just keep giving it to Rakeem Boyd.
Yeah, and hopefully Traylon Smith is as good as what we saw last year in practice. That was just practice, but he's really shifty and quick. And then you have some bigger backs like Amonte Spivey and Dominic Johnson. We still don't really know what to expect from them. The one memory I have of Amonte Spivey last year is against Mississippi State when Arkansas was already down by a ton and he fumbled the football, like just something little like that we just don't have a ton of experience for him to draw on. But I'd like to think that they're going to kind of give him a shot and see how it goes in these scrimmages. But after that, if they have to limit it to just two guys carrying the ball, then I think they'll do that. Because Rakeem Boyd, anytime you don't have him on the field, like you're risking an opportunity that he might break a 50-yard run.
No. Nikki Chavanelle from HawgBeat, HAWG, HawgBeat.com with us here on Ruscin Zach. So let me just frame this for the audience so they can kind of understand. So the scrimmage is Friday, and the only way that we're going to find out what happened is they're going to tell us what happened in there, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much. We might hear some, insider scoop leaking out, but I doubt there will be much, and we'll get a little bit of video to maybe put some things together, but it's really going to be what Sam Pittman wants to tell us, I think. So
don't be making sweeping conclusions based on Friday's scrimmage. Because
but it's fun. It's fun to do that.
Okay, it is fun. Fine, you're right. I'm sorry. I don't want to rain on the parade anymore. All right. Nikki Chavanelle, HawgBeat.com. You got any specials on the website right now?
Well, we still have our first responder deal going. So if you are a first responder, you can email me at nchavanelle@yahoo.com, and you'll get the full year for just 25%. So I think that's like $25 out of the $100 that you would normally pay. So really good deal. We want to thank all the first responders, and that's also like teachers and stuff. I know you're not a first responder, but in this trying time, and it's very, very important. And then students, these college students who are, paying for the full college experience and not actually getting to, have the fun. If you want to email me, I can get you a sweet deal too for a whole year. So just hit me up, nchavanelle@yahoo.com.
All right.
There it is.
Nikki Chavanelle, HawgBeat.com. Thank you, Nikki, as always. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Is it fun to form opinions based on
what somebody else tells you?
What someone else tells you happened at an event? Or is that, there's a poll question for you.
I believe they call that Twitter.
No.
You could be wrong on that.
There's a poll question for you. Like, is that fun? Or is that annoying? Because that's where you may have a couple people who who leak stuff to reporters about what someone had a good day. That's always such and such looked good. Such and such had a good day. I don't even know what those words mean. Like, I've heard them so many times.
It means they didn't spike themselves.
It's just noise. It's just gas. Such and such looked good. Such and such had a big day. He looked good. Throw the ball well. What does that mean? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? So all you're going to know about Friday's scrimmage is what they tell you. Are they going to tell you everything that happened? Good, bad, and indifferent? No. They're not. We know that. That's fine. I mean, that's just the way it's going to work. That's fine. We understand that. So just understand that.